as I deal with the spinning beach ball of death, again, as it's hot and the equipment wilts under the weight of the massive news that we go over for you here, I added in a new subheading because I found a lot of stories that I was always not sure what to put them in. So, taking a cue from Reverend Billy, RevBilly.com. Again, check out our interview archives. We interviewed Reverend Billy back in April. Holy hexes. I needed a spot to put in all the bizarre, occult, religious, Vatican, all that kind of stuff. So, the way we're going to kick it off with holy hexes, and we just have two for the time being, and we're grabbing them from Raw Story and Red Ice. If you can believe it, and this did get picked up by some other places, Huffington Post, to die for occult jam made from Princess Diana's hair. That's right. Small bits of Princess Diana's hair put into some occult jelly that's being sold expensively through some art gallery. Red flag, red flag, red flag. You can click through and see the entries through redicecreations.com. Our other holy hex story, Connecticut priest stole $1 million to pay for male escorts, of course. And now, unfortunately, we'll shift into the murder and the mayhem. We've called it the mass murder contagion. Lauren Coleman calls it the copycat effect. Twilight language, clustering. Call it what you want. Things fall apart. Things accelerate. Arrest made in Los Angeles, grim sleeper serial killings. Police arrested a man in LA's grim sleeper serial killings Wednesday after decades of frustrated investigations into at least 11 slayings dating back 25 years. LA County DA Steve Cooley said Lonnie Franklin Jr. will be charged with 10 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, and special circumstance allegations that could make him eligible for the death penalty if convicted. Franklin's age was unclear, with different agencies saying he's 51, some saying he's 57. Today's a good day, Donnell Alexander, the brother of victim Monique Alexander, said as he watched police activity outside the South LA house where the arrest was made. Detectives have spent years probing the slayings between 1985 and 2007, in which the killer targeted young black women and one man. The killer was dubbed the Grim Sleeper because he apparently took a 14-year hiatus in his crimes. Dozens of police officials closed off a block around the 81st Street house where the arrest was made. Neighbors described the man who lived there as friendly and quiet. Sinister forces, my friends. Abducted 4-year-old Missouri girl was fortunately found alive. The person of interest killed himself. More on that from Wiki News. And lastly, a story I believe we've touched on periodically, again from Raw Story. Attacks on census workers nearly triple since the last time, 10 years ago in 2000. And our last two subs on the massive news purge, Obama-Messiah and the war whores. Quickly, we, of course, now have the Obama administration, I believe, filing suit against Arizona for their immigration law. We now have the federal government siding with a foreign government against a state. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Arizona law pretty much kind of mirrors what the federal law is supposed to be. Again, much like everything, this ties into a larger agenda. We get to bicker and bitch and fight and tear each other apart. The plebes down on the bottom, not realizing, not looking up, not figuring out the shadows on the wall and the bread and the circuses and the distractions. Put quite simply, the multi-generational serial killers and their organizations have their long-term plan, and one of those pieces that we've discerned is the crippling of the U.S., pulling the rug out from under it. And that's what happens when the central banksters get involved. We just had 4th of July. You got to know that pretty much, they sell it on, we wanted religious freedom because we're a Christian nation. It always comes back to the banksters. That's what the fights, seemingly throughout human history, have always been. Multi-generational serial killers want to get control of the money supply, and they want fiat currency. They want to loan it out 10 times the amount they have in reserve. Fractional reserve banking. You give them $1, they can loan out 10. It's all a Ponzi scheme, zeros and ones, rigged game. And that's the story throughout history. It is part of the agenda to cripple the United States, morph us into some sort of North American community, as the Council on Foreign Relations likes to call it, with the Security and Prosperity Partnership, and the integration, and the trade, and the highways, and the grid, all those things. There's a larger agenda at work. Obama bypasses Senate again, this time for a new Medicare chief. We've got stuff from ABC News and the Associated Press. Obama makes recess appointment of a CMS administrator who's supposedly an expert on healthcare rationing. Didn't have time to find the flashbacks. I don't know how many times we've had already the Obama-Messiah bypassing Congress and just appointing people. Again, one side's in, the other side's out. When your team's in, you go to sleep. Then the other team suddenly thinks, oh my God, all this egregious, unconstitutional garbage just started in January 2009. Like it just started then, magically. With some mysterious guy who has different names and who seems to have been shepherded every step of the way by Brzezinski and the Rothschilds and the multi-generational serial killers. We also make a note of Big Mouth Biden making a surprise trip to Iraq for the 4th of July. He's there to support our troops in our mission in Iraq to make sure the... we have to secure the... Well, there was the... Exactly. These are wars based on lies that, again, when it was Bush doing it, you could see it. It was plain as day. It was arrogant, and it was in your face, and it was ham-fisted, and it was stupid and ugly and bloody. Now it's still going on, but it's got a different face. Obama's a nice guy. But quickly, let's wrap up this news purge. And it segues quite nicely into the war whores. Obama also now selects a general who likes killing Muslims. He's now been moved to CENTCOM. So we've got more on that from InfoWars and from DODBuzz.com. Gates sends Mattis to CENTCOM. Mattis was, of course, quoted a couple of years ago saying that killing Muslims is, I believe, quote, a heck of a lot of fun. We also have Osama's chef pleading guilty at the military tribunal at Guantanamo Bay. Remember, we're performing military tribunals. And the last War Whores note on this 7/8 News Purge: walk tall, U.S. warships cause anger in Costa Rica. Anger. Whether it's Costa Rica or Okinawa